16th meeting of the City Commission to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Peck.
Here.
Commissioner Angel.
Here.
Commissioner Arpke.
Here.
Commissioner Jennings.
Here.
Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Would you please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? Thank you. It's nice to see so many people here to visit about the budget today. This time I'd like to open it up for the Citizens Open Forum, which is a time set aside for anyone who's here to bring up anything that is not on today's agenda. Okay. There are no awards or proclamations. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of August 9th, 2010. Item 6.2, award of contract for the wiring replacement and pedestal installation project to DRCL Electric Incorporated in the amount of $90,555. Item 6.3, award of contract for the South 9th Street Phase 4 median hardscaping project to Bryant & Bryant Construction in the amount of $244,455.90.
Is there any item Commissioner would like to see removed from the consent agenda?
Mayor Peck, I'd like to correct the minutes. I was not at the last meeting on August 9th.
Okay. We make a note of that then? Okay.
I just have a question on item 6.2 regarding the fees charged. Do we need to consider that as part of the consent agenda or part of a motion to increase the fees from 10 to 20? Or will that be handled later?
That is included in the fee resolution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Move we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to development business.
Item 7.1, postpone consideration of application number P10-1 and P10-1A and second readings of ordinance numbers 10-10547 and 10-10548, annexing and rezoning the Stone Lake addition until September 13th, 2010.
Greg, can we do this in one motion? I don't remember if we did that last week or not.
I think that would be appropriate in the case of a postponement, yes.
Okay. Accept a motion to postpone these and it can be done in one motion.
Mayor, I move that we postpone the consideration of application P10-1/1A and second readings of ordinance numbers 10-10547 and 10-10548 until September the 13th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we postpone application P10-11A, ordinance number 10-10547, and ordinance number 10-10548 until September 13th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 7.2, resolution number 10-6752, reconfirming support for the regional strategic plan, including the regional incentives and qualified for designation of a non-metropolitan Kansas enterprise zone.
Mr. Hobby.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn them over to the city attorney's office.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, quickly, we'd like to ask that you carry this one as well over till next week. We understand that actually the Saline County will be considering their resolution on this matter tomorrow, and it would be under the statutory and regulatory scheme more appropriate if we follow that action.
Okay.
So, Mayor, I move that we postpone. Is that what you said, Mr. Bingston?
Yes, thank you.
That we postpone resolution number 10-6752 until next week, which would be our August 23rd meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we postpone resolution number 10-6752 until our August 23rd meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Administration.
Item 8.1, second reading, ordinance number 10-10561, levying special assessments against certain lots and pieces of property to pay the cost of abatement of nuisances.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on August 9th, and since that time, no comments have been received. Is there any public comment today? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 10-10561 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10561 on second reading. Now, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Sorry, Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson? Mayor Peck?
Aye. We'll get this together. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.2, adoption of the 2011 budget. 8.2A, second reading, ordinance number 10-10562, adopting the budget. Item 8.2B, resolution number 10-6758, establishing fees for city services. Item number 8.2C, resolution number 10-6759, providing for the appropriation of the budget.
Mr. Franz.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you. This is the implementation phase of the operating budget process. There have been a number of public study sessions regarding budgetary issues. There have been at least 2 informal hearings before the commission, and then last week we did our formal budget hearing pursuant to the notice requirements within state statute. The final proposed budget for 2011 is just a little bit short of $72.5 million. Comparable amount last year was about $69.8 million. That increase is due to the change in the special sales tax for capital items primarily. There's some increases in expenditures out of the special gas tax fund. Not because special gas tax has increased a great deal, but we've got some carryover funds there also. And then some water and wastewater debt retirement and bond and interest debt retirement, both of which have been within our long-range capital improvement plans for some time. Number of budget challenges this year. It seems like these get to be familiar after a while, but still dealing with some changes in the personal property taxation. Obviously, economic conditions were a great challenge for us. We've managed to deal with that through some position reductions, through reductions or control of line items, control of overtime costs, and so on. The budget contemplates no merit increases for 2011 and no cost of living increases for 2011 for city employees. We are proposing modest adjustments to the comprehensive fee schedules, and the property tax rate will be maintained at its current level of 25.855 mils. I would be glad to try to address any questions you might have. There are 3 actions required. One is to adopt the budget ordinance. One is to adopt a resolution establishing the fees for city services. And then the second resolution is the appropriation that actually gives the city manager and city staff authority to implement the budget as adopted.
Thank you. Is there any questions, Mr. Franz? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring this back to the commission, and again, we'll need 3 separate actions.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve on second reading ordinance number 10-562, adopting the budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10562, adopting the 2011 budget. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 106758, establishing the fees for city services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6758, establishing fees for city services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 10-6759, providing for the appropriation of the budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6759. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.3, General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2010-B. Item 8.3A, Resolution Number 10-6760, authorizing improvements to the city public water supply system and providing for the payment of the cost. Item 8.3B, Resolution Number 10-6761, authorizing the offering for sale of General Obligation Refunding Bonds Series 2010-B.
Mr. Franz?
Mayor and Commissioners, once again, this begins the process that you agreed to in principle several weeks ago in terms of refinancing some of the outstanding debt for the water system plant improvements that were done in the early part of the decade, as well as a couple of remaining balances on two general obligation bond issues. With present markets, savings anticipated are about $480,000, with about 3/4 of that coming out of the water and sewer fund, and the balance will come from the general fund. What you have in front of you today are two items of legislation. The first is actually reauthorizes the improvements to the water plant. These improvements were actually done in 1997-98, and then again in about 2002 and 2003. However, at that time, we did not authorize general obligation bonds to pay for the improvements. We simply authorized use of the Kansas Public Water Supply Loan Fund. And as a result, because we're going to refinance those loans with general obligation bonds, Bond Counsel now advises us that we have to step backwards and authorize, as it were, those projects that we have already completed in order to qualify for the bond issuance. I hope that's not too confusing, but essentially it's a legal step we have to go through. And then the second resolution actually authorizes the offering for sale of the general obligation refunding bonds, provides for notice to the Water Supply Loan Fund that we will be paying the loans off, and there's a time period required for that notice and so on. This will actually come back for your consideration with the first reading of the bond ordinance on October 4th, and then the bond sale and the second reading will be implemented on October 18th. And at that time, perhaps at interim times, if the markets change a great deal, we will provide you with information regarding the final savings on the issue. Or you will have the option to not proceed.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Franz?
Oh, I would like to say we have Roger Edgar, who is representing our fiscal advisor, George K. Bauman Company President, if you have any questions for him.
Thank you for being here today. Roger, is there anything you'd like to say? You don't feel like you need to, but
One quick item. Thank you. The original documents, the original loans with the state carried a general obligation pledge, but required the city to resolve to repay the loan from water system user charges. The new bonds will have those same provisions. So the commitment the city's making with this new financing is really identical to the commitment that you made before. And even though these are GO bonds, that the water portion of it will be repaid through system charges of the utility and not from property taxes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any further questions? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring this back to the commission.
Mayor, I move we adopt resolution number 10-6760, authorizing improvements to the city public water supply system and providing for the payment of the costs.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6760. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, I move we adopt resolution number 10-6761, authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2010B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6761. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.4, acceptance of the Smoky Hill River Master Plan.
Ms. Tasker.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. After 8 months of continuous work, Design Studios West and Wrightwater Engineers have completed the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan. This master plan has been posted on the city's website this afternoon. The master plan consists of 2 companion documents, the first being the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan Summary, which was prepared by Design Studios West and pertains to the planning aspects. It includes information on the preferred master plan, phasing options, cost estimate, funding strategies, to name a few. It's a little over 100 pages long. The second document is the Smoky Hill River Master Plan Engineering Issues. This was prepared by Wrightwater Engineers and pertains to the technical engineering aspects and includes physical and legal water rights, water quality, channel design, sediment removal, regulatory compliance, safety issues, and so on. This document's roughly a little over 150 pages. The primary phase of the project, or the first phase that would be proposed, includes the river intake structure at Billburg Park, sedimentation removal basins, sediment removal in the channel, tree trimming and brush clearing, wetlands and stream mitigation, a multi-use trail from Billburg to Walnut Street, concrete-lined river walk from Walnut Street to the Western Star Mill, trail lighting in Oakdale Park, Iron Street Bridge removal, rehab of the Western Star Mill Dam, and Lakewood Park pump back system for drought situation, aeration in the river walk, and a movable dam at Walnut Street to contain the water for drought conditions. Based on these proposed improvements, the primary phase has a total cost through construction of roughly $27.75 million, which includes $3.5 million for a land acquisition allowance. Staff has reviewed the cost estimates, and we believe these cost estimates are conservative. The figure of $27.75 does not include any contingency dollars. These costs were developed on a master plan level, and it's typical to include a 30% contingency, which would be roughly $7.25 million. This would be standard in the industry to have some type of a contingency for this size of a project. Once final design is complete, an engineer's estimate would be completed for the project. Add alternatives could be considered to ensure that the project falls within available funding. The overall project was laid out in 6 different phases and has a price tag of roughly $74 million. This figure, again, does not include any contingency dollars. The contingency of a 30% factor for this would roughly be a little over $21 million. The revenue source for this project is not currently in the budget. As previously we discussed, this project could be funded through a combination of local, state, and federal funding. The local funding could be provided through a sales tax. A quarter-cent sales tax would generate roughly $25 to $28 million over a 10-year period. The national elections have proved to be the greatest opportunity to get the greatest public participation. The first two opportunities that exist are either November of 2010 or November of 2012. If the City Commission chooses to move forward for the November 2010 election, we would need to accomplish a final formal action to put this question on the ballot by no later than August 30th of 2010. Staff has identified two options for the City Commission to consider. The first would be accept the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan dated August 2010 as drafted by Design Studios West Incorporated and Wrightwater Engineers Incorporated. The second option would be to accept the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan with any additions or modifications to the text that the City Commission deems appropriate. I had debated about having 170 slides, but I thought maybe you were well informed on this project, so I cut this fairly short, but I would be glad to answer any questions that you might have, and I do have the slide presentation handy.
Not like we haven't seen that.
Your brevity is appreciated.
But I would answer any questions you might have.
Just to add to that, too, a lot of people do have web access today and will be able to go online and see that, but some people don't, and we'll talk about how we can create a display so that anyone who wants to drop by, whether it be here at the library or somewhere, could be able to see the same information that, or pretty close to the same information that was seen before by various groups who provided input on this. We want to make sure that that's out there, and definitely will provide many opportunities. But I did want Martha to highlight that timeline, because not knowing for sure when you'd want to, if you accept the plan, when you'd want to move forward with, possibly a project and maybe a question to the voters. We wanted to be sure that if it was possible to do it even this year, that you at least knew that timeline, and then you could talk as a group and decide if you wanted to do that. If you did, then obviously we would, based on the timeline, we would need to bring back an action for you next week, and we'd be prepared to do that. So we just wanted to make sure that you were very much aware of that. The other thing, real quick, you've heard this, but kind of for the benefit of the viewing public, there's a lot of there's been a lot of, I think, a lot of good coverage of this potential project and this master planning process. And one of the questions that comes out is well, why is the city so interested in doing this? Why are the citizens that have participated so interested, and why was the Friends of the River that formed because of this so interested? And the two reasons we've talked about before, just sort of repeat. One is that a lot of people may recognize, those people who grew up in Salina, that when the Corps of Engineers came in to build the levee in the early 60s to protect 2/3 of the community from flooding, that was a very good thing. But what it did is it really choked off the internal river channel, and in essence it took away the identity of our community by virtue of doing that. And this community was founded on that river, and right now, truly, if you go and look at that, except during the river festival time, it's really a dried up ditch that collects trash and debris and limbs and tree trunks and things like that. It's not a river, and so the number one priority is to actually bring back that identity through a river project. It won't be a river like it was, because if it did, we would flood again like that, and we don't want to do that. But it's something that's usable in a place, and that's the number two thing. For those that may not really care about the identity thing, it really is the opportunity, if the public wants to do it, to create this sense of place, whether it's an urbanized area, whether it's a natural area, to for an individual just to go and think about things, or to learn about wildlife, or to learn about vegetation and trees, or whatever it might be. It really has all those things. And so there are lots of good reasons, whether it be economic development or tourism or all of those, and those are fine reasons, but really the two reasons are community identity and a special place in Salina. And as you know, we asked our employees and we asked others that, if they found that place somewhere else when they go on vacation, and everyone will raise their hand and say, yeah, there's that special place. I like the mountains or the streams or the lakes or the shopping, the quaintness, whatever it might be. And the real question that we, of course, left everyone with is why should you have to drive out of your own community to find that place? Why can't Salina have that special place? So just wanted to summarize that for those who are listening, so they kind of have an idea of why it's even being talked about. And obviously, if you do accept the master plan, they'll probably get many opportunities to learn a lot more about that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure I understand this correctly. This is where I get a little bit of heartburn. The the tax structure that we have right now is at 8.2, and this would go to 8.45 if it's accepted by the voters in November.
Yes, if you placed it on the ballot and it was accepted, it would go to 8.45.
Okay. So as soon as the public hears that there's a possibility the tax is going up again, because recently it went up because of a state mandate. So now they're thinking, okay, so we're taxing people to death. I worry that they'll vote it down, not knowing the whole realm of everything like we do and everyone that's sitting out here in the audience today. In the event that it gets voted down, I worry then what's going to happen to this plan. And I understand that everyone is ready to, there's a lot of potential private monies and grants and that sort of thing in place. It'd be great if we had this tax to take off some of that burden, but obviously the burden then is going to rely on a lot of our private money and private donations. I would hope that if we accept this master plan and we go ahead with trying to get this on the ballot, that we would handle this by still proceeding to educating the public, telling them exactly what this is going to be. We kept the mill levy down, kept it level. It's not just us that is paying for this as Salina citizens, but anybody that comes to Salina that will be paying this sales tax. So again, I really feel very strongly in educating the public. I am one that is in favor of this plan and of this Smoky Hill river revival. I want to go kayaking before I have to collect Social Security. So, but what it really boils down to is people worried that we are just taxing them to death, and they may vote no in November. So I want to make sure that they understand exactly what is going on that ballot, just like the pool issue. You saw how successful that was, and I think it was because of the groups and the people that were out there educating the public.
Commissioner, that's a very, very good point, and we will work very diligently to educate, both from what the city can do, and I think the volunteers that are associated with the project and the Friends of the River will work very hard to do that, as well as other folks. I think you're correct. People do need to know, again, why are we doing it? Why is it important for a community? And is it really a 30 to 50 or maybe even 100-year type project as far as the impact to our community and being a game changer for Salina when we look at ourselves and compare against other communities in the state? And I'd be the first to tell you there's never a good time to raise any tax. Mm-hmm. There really isn't. And today's maybe not a good time, and a lot of people will have that perspective. And I think that's perfectly fine, because the way I look at it is it's not something where we say, well, we have to do this. It's, it's something where people get to think about what's important to them, and it's a value issue of what they want to spend their money on and what benefit they think they'll get from it. And I think the hope is, by those that believe this is a game changer, is that people will recognize it is a big thing for the community and will make that decision. If they don't, that's okay too, because it's about everyone putting their values out there and what they think is important, and just seeing what the community as a whole wants to do. And that's kind of talk about democracy in action at the lowest governmental level. That's what it is all about. So that's one thing we're real excited about.
I wanted to thank Ms. Tasker for all the work that you've done on this after we approved the master plan and charged the city to be good stewards of the money. You came alongside of the Friends of the River and did a phenomenal job, at least from my seat, on all of the coordination, on all of the technical details of this project. And to not recognize that effort would be a wrong. I would say that when I looked at it and reviewed it, of course, from the very first slides, the very first glimpse of it at the River Festival, it's got so much potential to add so much to Salina and other communities. People have said San Antonio a lot, but there's a whole lot more communities than just San Antonio that has successful river projects. When I looked at the preliminary phase, what I saw is I think we should at least try to develop some costing on what it would take for the connectivity dike to dike. I know that's a future project thing. There are so many runners and walkers and people in the community that are so excited about that aspect alone that I could see with our new Salina Running Company and all of the people that are out on the pavement, I could see that being almost instantly used as half marathon and marathons and bringing a lot of people into the community. So that will be a question that I'll ask, is what would that, if it was approved by the voters, what would that aspect cost in order to do that now, especially when we're going to be starting to establish all of that hard surface out there to begin with. And it may not be feasible, but in reviewing all the information that you've provided, that was the one question that came to my mind. I could see going a little bit further and having that be a fully completed dike-to-dike, really nice link.
We have included a statement that we'd like to consider to get that very work in the primary phase. We've estimated it somewhere between $2.6 and $4 million, depending upon which contingencies you add to it, and that we'd like to find a way to include that. And that would be dependent upon what other funding may become available for that through
Trails.
different organizations and through trails. So it's definitely on several people's mind to try to get that included.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Just ask her on the master plan perimeter, and I talked to Don at Design Studios West about this at the technical session. Is there any way that in future materials that are handed out or displayed that chimney can eventually be taken off there for good?
The chimney did get removed once we got into what was considered the final master plan. He left it on in the preliminary phases of it, and I can definitely talk to Design Studios West about that. In one of their phases, that was the relocation for the Expo Center, and that's why it's shown in there in a few of the places. But I believe we got it off when we got to the final plan. But
okay, I think so.
We'll give that another hard look and make sure we got everything squared away.
Okay. And also just to reiterate what Commissioner Jennings said, certainly from a volunteer standpoint with all the Friends of the River, their volunteer hours and dedication to this project has been very, very impressive, and also the private funds that they've put up is really incredible. And from this side of the room, that's a neat thing to see, and certainly makes a commission know that a group's serious about a project, and they've really done it the right way, and appreciate all the volunteer hours that have gone into that. And again, Martha and any number of our city staff have really been dedicated to this project as well. And in our technical session a week or two ago, Design Studios West and Wrightwater Engineers both complimented our staff on their ability to ask some really, really difficult questions and hold their feet to the fire to make sure that we were getting all the technical questions answered. And most of those questions are questions I don't remember or really understand, but it's comforting to know that our staff is on top of that. So thank you to each of you for your efforts and work. Is there any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment?
Dennis Lover with the Salina Chamber of Commerce. When our board of directors received a presentation about the master plan, they unanimously passed a resolution endorsing or supporting the master plan. And I think the logic behind it is very simple. At worst, this is a significant enhancement in the quality of life in the community. At best, this is that game changer that Jason talked about. They can change the trajectory of the community and help add jobs and investment and the positive things we want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Andy Martin, Salina Area United Way. I had the honor and privilege of serving as a member of the MAC, and I'm talking to you today as an individual of this community. The value of this project in terms of the quality of life and the potential improvement in health in this community is staggering. The opportunity for the improvement in the bike trails and a way to improve the aesthetic environment of this community speaks very highly for the project and is an example of how this community is really working to improve itself and the health of its citizens. I think that's one of the primary responsibilities of any type of government, is to improve the health and safety of its citizens. And I would highly encourage the adoption of this master plan as a vision for this community. It's not only good for us emotionally and physically, but it's good for us spiritually too. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Andy. If there are no other comments, I'll bring this back to the commission.
Mayor, I move we accept the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan dated August 2010 as drafted by Design Studios West Inc. and Wrightwater Engineers.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the Smoky Hill River Renewal Master Plan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Commissioners, just the quick follow-up question would be, are you interested in staff bringing back an action item next week to consider for your consideration of placing it on the November ballot?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
I just need a nod for that, and we'll get it ready, and then you can discuss and debate that next week. Thank you.
Item 8.5, authorizing to sign contract with Union Pacific Railroad to perform at-grade public road crossing improvements on Neal Avenue near Coronado School, project number 10-2818.
Mr. Stack.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Nothing like a railroad plan to follow up the Friends of the Rivers.
I was thinking the same thing.
In the commission for today. This is a fairly normal, routine repair of a railroad crossing, of which we have around 40 of them after looking through that, how many we have this week. And we have quite a few, and this is one that's been logged as a bad one on Neal Avenue out by Coronado School. And so this is the first step in getting that improved. Union Pacific Railroad is backlogged about 6 months, so the plan probably won't occur till next year, but there was hope for the fall, so we wanted to get this to you as soon as we could. The city will perform any work to smooth out the crossing once they're done with the track removal and the concrete panels placed there. Next one on the list will be State Street, and then we've identified South Street as well coming up in the near future. So those are just for your information. I know I've received calls and concerns about all of those, but this one is the first one we're able to get to you for today. Any questions?
Lived up to being a anticlimactic ending here, Dan. So.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
even though Union Pacific pays for some of this, we maintain it after the improvements. Is that correct?
Maintain the road, but the crossing, the tracks, there's their right of way there, and so they maintain the right of way. I believe.
Do.
Yes, the
Does
tracks
that,
and the panels.
I go by there all the time, and I can't remember. Does that have an arm and a light? Or is that just
Neal doesn't have a
No.
light or an arm. I don't know if they have a light, but they don't have an arm.
okay? And you don't know if they have a light?
I'm not sure about a light.
Okay, I can't remember.
Come on, Mike.
Cross all the time.
Don't you live there?
Yeah, so do I. So do I, Mike, and I can't remember if it has a light. Okay, so once they do those improvements, we do take care of the street part, obviously,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, there'll
everything
be
is
some
still there.
concrete panels that go down into the tracks, and then up to those panels, we do maintain the road next to those panels. So, but the panels are theirs, and the track is theirs, and the right of way, and
Right.
Maintenance of the of that area is typically theirs, and that's why it's always a challenge to.
And then you said after Neal is State Street,
Mhm.
and then did you mention another one?
South Street's another.
Yeah, South.
South,
It's
another
really,
bad one.
Really bad.
Yeah, I was thinking that's
I
another
was
one I've
wondering
heard
if
from
that was
Aaron about.
terrible.
Or others as well. Yep.
Further questions? It's back to the commission.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move that we authorize to sign a contract with Union Pacific Railroad to perform public road crossing improvements at Neal near Coronado School, project number 10-2818.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve city project number 10-2818. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other business? I accept a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. We're adjourned.